Grail, not the obvious MacGuffin. Young Indy learned early, admiration safer than affection. Fedora passed down, young scars, fatherly disappointment. Grows up fast, runs faster. Chases history, not approval. Father appears, brilliant, distant, unfinished. Man spent a lifetime searching for God and forgot to raise his son. Between them, Nazis who grab, traps, punish impatience, and a relic works, if you don't want it too badly. Because in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, miracle isn't eternal life. It's restraint, it's humility, it's choosing the person reaching for you, over the thing calling your name. This is an adventure about letting go, of power, of proof, of the idea that love has to be earned. Welcome to Last Crusade, where the final test isn't surviving the fall, it's knowing when to stop reaching. And that's the heart of it. Not the cup, not the crusade, the choice.
Hello and welcome to Ambling Through Cinema, the podcast dedicated to exploring the stories and film craft defining the creative giants of the silver screen. Today we're enjoying the heartwarming and catacomb-diving third entry of the Indiana Jones movies, with Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, released in 1989. I'm your host, Tyler Birch, and...
This is Crystal.
So with our discussions for Last Crusade, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with our first impressions. So I know that you actually have memories of seeing this movie, so why don't you go ahead and tell us about that?
I know, finally. I remember clearly I saw this movie in the Cactus Theater in Hawthorne, Nevada, which is where I spent my teenage years. This theater is like a Quonset hut with a little addition. Pretty much the only thing to do in Hawthorne, so...
Either that or work at the base.
That too. Wasn't old enough to
or
do
no,
that.
wasn't it just, drive down Main Street and then flip back around and drive back?
Cruising, yes.
American Graffiti style.
Maybe that's where it came from, I don't know. But that's what you did. But I loved movies, so it was sad because they only did it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They usually did have two movies, so I was excited to see Indiana Jones again because he's one of my favorite heroes. To see him in another movie, loving Indiana Jones, and I was really big into medieval literature at the time. So seeing those two married together was thrilling. In fact, when I was a sophomore in high school, we had to do a presentation, and I chose the Holy Grail. So I took a glass. It was like... it looked like a goblet, I guess. It was real fancy looking with a stem, and I put a little cross necklace around it. And that was the Holy Grail, and that was my little prop, I guess.
You could have been a production designer. That could have been the start of your story.
I know. That was fun. I think I got an A on that. Thank you, Indiana Jones and Steven Spielberg. Also, I had a secret crush on Harrison Ford.
That makes sense. And it's funny, your story for Last Crusade and school and everything. It sounds like almost exactly like me with Assassin's Creed 2 as a sophomore, doing world history, and just like there was a Renaissance test, and I aced the test because I had played Assassin's Creed 2, and I remembered all the historical details from that.
Nice.
Like I've said before, this is just one of those movies that just played more and more as I grew up, so I don't have any particular memories of remembering it first. I'm 99% certain this was my first interaction with Sean Connery, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because I didn't watch like the Bond movies with Larry growing up. So,
that's true.
Yeah, that wasn't until I was much older. I didn't have like a Bond Sean Connery experience, and
yeah.
I don't remember this movie really sticking out to me growing up, but I think as I've gotten older, I've just appreciated it more, which I think is true for a lot of people because as you get older, you start to really enjoy the themes, and I don't know, the jokes they still feel fresh.
Yeah, they do.
We were watching it just last night for this, and I just smiled the whole time because it's just so much fun. And I always thought like Raiders was my favorite, and I still love Raiders, but having this experience so close together with them, or just getting to enjoy them and enjoying them with people, it just really made me realize that like I think Last Crusade is my favorite of the series. I love the Grail quest. I think that's so much fun. As soon as Sean Connery shows up and he starts interacting with Harrison Ford, it's just electric. It's 100% chemistry. I don't know. Even like using like characters like Marcus and Raiders, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, he's just a guy in the background. But in this one, he's memorable because he does all that weird academic stuff with Henry Jones Sr. flapping their arms and stuff.
I swear it's a fraternity.
That's a fraternity. That is definitely like probably it's not even a fraternity. It's like a literary society they were probably a part of. Like
at Oxford.
That whole scene where he's like, he knows every language. He knows how to blend in with the locals. And then it cuts to him being like, does anybody know where I'm supposed to be going?
Does anybody speak English?
One of the best transitions ever. Like, credit to Michael Kahn for that. And it elevates a lot of the characters. Now that our first impressions are out of the way, let's go ahead and hand it off over to our cinematic helix, Mr. DNA, so he can go ahead and give you a little explanation of the story. Hi, I'm Mr. DNA, and today we're decoding Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the indie movie that finally asks, what if the real artifact is unresolved father issues? See, Raiders is about survival, Temple of Doom is about chaos, but Last Crusade? That one's about legacy. Steven Spielberg didn't just add Grail challenges and Nazis, he added a dad. A brilliant, distant, emotionally unavailable dad, played by Sean Connery, who treats academia like religion and his son like a footnote. The Grail isn't about immortality, it's about restraint, humility, choosing the cup that doesn't sparkle. So when Indy lets the Grail go, he's not failing the quest, he's finally passing the test. Science fact, sometimes a treasure is an eternal life. It's your father calling you, Indiana. Today we're walking through Indiana Jones and Last Crusade. The themes, the symbols, the music, the characters, and why this adventure still lands decades later. As always, we're going to start with our characters. First up, Indiana Jones. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. In this movie, they do, in the first 15 minutes, essentially what the entirety of the movie Solo is, where they introduce Fedora, his fear of snakes, even his chin scar that Harrison Ford got from a car accident. What else did they introduce about this character?
How can you forget the whip?
The whip, you're right. Yeah, the whip. His lack of respect for authority.
Oh, definitely. And just making stuff up as he goes along.
Yeah, his improvisation, and also really establishing his relationship with his father in about 2 scenes.
I think it's one of my favorite opening scenes.
It's great. It's so much fun. Like we talked about with chemistry with Connery and Ford, there's a sense of chemistry between River Phoenix, who plays young Indiana Jones, with Harrison Ford as adult Indiana Jones. It's weird to say because they don't share scenes together, but you can feel one grows into the other. What do you think about him as young?
Young Indy is River Phoenix. I loved River Phoenix and Stand By Me. He was a standout character for me in that movie. So to see him and Indiana Jones was just icing on the cake. I feel like he didn't try, you know how sometimes younger versions of characters try to mimic every little thing? It felt natural.
That's true.
River Phoenix, he did an awesome job. Interesting note, he's Joaquin Phoenix's brother.
Yes.
Yeah. Didn't know if you knew. So Young Indy, I enjoyed it. I loved the transition.
Yes, with the fedora.
Yes.
That was so good. I think I've really learned to enjoy the transitions in these movies after we started talking about like the Paramount logo always transitioning into, you know, a mountain gong, whatever. And yeah, I love that one. I think that's so well done to just cut. And there we go. Now we're back to the Indy, you know.
So since we're talking about Young Indy, let's talk about Fedora.
Okay. Which is the name of the lead Tomb Raider that pulls one over on Indy and becomes his entire identity.
Pretty much. Fedora. To me, he was almost a mentor. Would you agree? He kind of taught Indy his philosophy of life, I guess. You lost today, kid. It doesn't mean you have to like it. And just his general presence was really imitated by young Indy.
Yeah, mentor is hard to say because it was just that one interaction. Yeah. But he definitely became like the guiding post, Indy's North Star, everything that he aspired to be. And I think the reason why is because there was such a contrast between him, Fedora, and his dad.
That's true.
He saw this guy that was everything that his dad wasn't. And he believed in Indy in a way that Henry Jones Sr. didn't.
Yeah.
And even treated him as an equal. So he became everything that Henry Jones Sr. was not for Indy.
And when he did things, like when he jumped off the train, bested them, I guess twice, right?
Yeah.
He smiled. He's like, yeah.
He's like, this kid, man. Yeah. This scamp.
But he respected him.
Yeah.
He respected the game, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. He saw his skill.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Fedora.
You made quite an impact. Unfortunately, not played by Vic Armstrong, like we were hoping. Even stands out to me that in the corrupt system that was around in Utah in 1917 or whatever.
What was that about? All right, Sheriff, there was about 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, give me that.
Yeah, he's got 5 or 6 witnesses.
Yeah.
You doing this to a kid? How dare you?
I know.
That's so rude.
And Henry didn't say a darn thing. Just want to throw that out there.
Nope.
I would be concerned if someone, the sheriff came into my house and taken stuff from my kid. What are you doing?
Yeah, he had to read his diary.
No, he was drawing the little, the stained glass looking...
Yeah.
With pen and ink, that's very impressive, but that's beside the point.
I mean, he did probably a mean calligraphy back in the day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was young Indy. So then we have the older Indy. Not much really new about him. He seems to have evolved a little more since Raiders.
He seems like he's having a harder time handling everything.
I mean, he's getting older.
Yeah, the scene where he's in the university, it feels like maybe the double life is starting to catch up to him. And so maybe that's like an implication of he's going to have to make a decision soon whether or not it's time to hang up the fedora, fully embrace being a professor in this new phase of his life, or maybe it's just stop pretending like he wants to teach.
But I like that analysis, whether he should hang up the fedora or keep the bow tie on.
Yeah.
Didn't he wear a bow tie to teach? Or when he was doing his Henry Jones Jr.
His father wears a bow tie. His father, the academic, wears a bow tie, and he wears a bow tie when he's
teaching.
As Professor Henry Jones Jr. This actually might be more of an analogy of his relationship with his father.
On the other side of that coin, Henry Jones Sr.
Yes. The distant father to Indy's lost boy established him right from the get-go. His obsession with the Grail is the only thing that matters to him. He has no time for his son. He makes his son speak, count to 20 in Greek before speaking to him. We talked about how there's not like a difference between Indy movie to movie. His demeanor when he interacts with Henry Jones Sr. is different because he stands at attention. He always calls him sir.
Yeah.
I didn't clock when he first said dad, so I don't know if it's something that took time, but like whenever his father did address him, he would call him sir. Tell us about when they first interact in the castle, when Indy comes through the window. Yeah,
so he busts in, like Indy style. Henry hits him over the head with a vase because he thought he was a bad guy.
Even though they don't use windows.
No, but that's okay. His academia kind of failed him there. He was more concerned about the vase being broken because it might have been an antiquity.
Thank God. And Indy's like, oh, what? He cares?
Yeah.
He says, the vase is a fake. Look at the cross right here.
Well, the first thing I think he says was Junior. Even though he's like dazed because he got hit on the head. He's like, yes, sir?
Yeah.
Just years of training, I guess.
It has to be like ingrained into him.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you respect your father, and that's how you treat him, or no matter how he's treating you.
We're going to talk later about how he added to the dialogue and things like that. So
I think some standout stuff was just him realizing like what adventuring is like and what Indy puts himself through, and them kind of meeting in the middle. He brings a lot of the humor. He's kind of bumbling you can clearly tell this is the first time he stepped out of a classroom in a while.
Right.
Setting the castle on fire, him shooting the plane tail.
Yes.
And then blaming it on the Nazis. Son, I'm sorry. They got us.
He doesn't want to look bad in his eyes.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about, I set the carpet on fire. He didn't talk about, I shot us down. It's important what Indy's opinion of Henry is.
Yeah. He knows that to Indy, the only side of him that he has is Sir.
That's true.
So if he's not Sir anymore...
Who is he?
If he's not somebody that is, respectable and beyond reproach, then they don't have a relationship.
Oh, that must be exhausting.
Yeah. But, he also has this brilliant moments, like when he used the umbrella with the birds to take down the plane.
And then he quoted Charlemagne.
He quoted Charlemagne, casually walked with his umbrella out, no problems. So he's still got some style, but he's bumbling. Yeah. The obsession, it's as much as this is Indy's journey, this is equal, if not more, Henry Jones Sr.'s journey. And you really feel that, and you feel their relationship grow closer as they go on because of just their interactions and how the characters played.
So what do you think about Mr. Walter Donovan?
He's definitely out of the Spielberg ones the worst. Spalko was interesting. Obviously, we said Mola Ram was the highlight of Temple of Doom. Even Belloc, he had charm and he kept getting one over on Indy. And Walter Donovan, there's not really anything. It's just he collaborates with Nazis, he lies and tricks everybody, and then he gets what he's supposed to get. The most haunting death I think I've seen in a while, and not because it was tragic or anything, just because effects that at the time were groundbreaking. The digital effects don't quite hold up now.
So what about Miss Elsa?
I think she brought something interesting to this movie. She's different than the other girls that we see in this franchise. This one's more femme fatale.
Yeah.
If you've watched a Bond movie, Pussy Galore from Goldfinger is a big femme fatale where you don't know, even if she seems like she's on your side, and even if the seduction has seemed to have worked, you don't know if that means that she really is. Allegiance is unknown. It does bring an interesting flavor. After she's revealed to be the Nazi, she gets kind of gets wishy-washy.
She does.
Like that scene in Berlin.
Yeah.
I'm not that impressed with it because I'm just I think the whole thing is supposed to be like, and a lot of times like these collaborators like Donovan and Elsa and Belloc, we don't promote the cause, we promote the opportunity for us to be able to achieve finding the Ark of the Covenant or finding the Holy Grail. I think it's easier to divorce like Belloc and Donovan from that, because other than having like the Nazis around them, they're not involved with the cause. But her being in Berlin during a book burning with Hitler and then saying, well, I'm just doing this because I want to get the Grail, not in like a, oh, well, what's her allegiances kind of way, and more like a, you say that, but I mean, you're literally in ground zero.
I don't know.
I think at that part, I think you take that out, she's a lot stronger character. I like her ending, like her obsession with the Grail being what killed her. I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I still think it's weird that like right after that, Indy's like, well, I should also try to get it.
I know.
That always felt weird. There was a weird incongruency.
That's not him.
Yeah. Especially once he was telling her, no, you let it go. And then he's immediately like, although
I'll get it.
maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm built different.
Exactly.
But I know you probably have different thoughts on this character.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of love in my adventure stories. I don't care that they slept together. It is funny that they both slept with her. Henry and Indy.
Yes.
That was fun. It felt forced again, like with Willie. I don't know if I'm just a huge Marion fan, because that did not feel forced to me. I shouldn't say that I'm down with love in adventurers, but you know, I hate when they just focus on it and it's like, no, we got other stuff we're doing here. She's the first one to die, though.
Yes, yeah. She gets Superman 2'd, which if you don't know, if you watch Superman 2, at the end when they're all in the Fortress of Solitude, they all just fall into the fog in between the crystals, never to be seen again. And it's like, okay, did Superman just kill these people, or what just happened? Literally the same thing.
Yeah.
She just falls into the fog. I mean, she's dead. She is falling down a chasm, so that one's less ambiguous because the world doesn't work the same in this as it does with Superman. But I just, as soon as I saw her fall into the fog, I was just like, damn, she's got Superman 2'd. Jesus.
Okay, let's be honest. Her and the Grail Knight, they're just hanging out in the bottom of the
chasm.
yeah,
they're just hanging. He doesn't understand why his lighting is different than the rest of the rooms.
Yeah.
He's upset about it.
You know, the Grail Knight. We love him.
Do you think that there was only one cup and then he got really into like making cups, and now that's why the whole altar is just filled with them? It's just, when Elsa chose his, he was like, wow, thank you.
Can I sign that for you?
It's like, I put a lot of work into that one. Thank you so much. You know how hard it is to find jewels in a cave? But I did it, and you acknowledged it, and I appreciate it. You're still going to die. But like, to me, you're my hero. Just know that. It means nothing in the real world, but just like, to me, you rock.
Okay, so he had nothing to do in the cave for 500 years, so yeah, I could subscribe to that theory. He just kind of, because he wasn't always that old.
Yeah. So
he probably went, did the Minecraft thing, just...
Yeah, that's probably...
They do the little...
Yeah, if you look behind the altar, there's just like one little tiny block that's missing, and it turns out it leads downstairs into like a mine. All
right, we need a new movie.
Yeah.
The Adventures of the Grail Knight.
Adventures of the Grail Knight.
He took up glass blowing and metallurgy, is that what it's
metallurgy,
called?
Yeah.
And mining.
He's just like, you just do it in like Minecraft style.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's how you marry the two.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good segue to the Grail. I consider the Grail a character because they are so focused on it. We need to have it. We need to get it.
I would say the idea of the Grail.
It's just, they all become so obsessed. Almost like the ring from Lord of the Rings and the Horcruxes from Harry Potter.
Yeah. Even the Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark, yeah. Honestly, until we started doing these deep dives into Spielberg movies, I never saw the father-son thing. And it was always about the Grail for me.
Yeah.
But now I see it differently.
Like, the Grail is just the seasoning of the movie for me. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, they're doing something.
Yeah.
Oh, it led to this funny scene, and like, oh, that's good. Everything, like, my entire attention is just on Indy and Henry Jones Sr.
Yeah, exactly. I've definitely been enjoying this journey because it definitely opens our minds to other possibilities.
Yeah.
Which makes watching movies even more fun. Let's not forget about Kazim.
Yeah, so the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword. Not really sure. Like, they didn't explain them at all, if I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably the weakest part of this movie.
Yeah, I feel like they could have had more because they were like everywhere.
They remind me of and maybe this inspired like in The Mummy with the Magi that were protecting Hamunaptra. That's what this reminded me of. Like this brotherhood that's in the shadows that's protecting something that like is not ever meant to be touched by mortal men kind of thing. And that's the vibe that I got. I think the reason why this execution doesn't work as much is because they have no impact on the story in the end.
No, not really.
They get get massacred on the way to the Canyon of the Crescent Moon. Kazim dies without really, I mean, he said something profound at the end, but like that's the extent of his character. He gets to be a part of some cool scenes, like the propeller interrogation with the boat, and they have a cool symbol, but like other than that, like you could take them out and just replace it with random henchmen, and it would be practically the same effect.
We'll talk more about the Brotherhood, but it's just, I wish there had been more of him. I thought he was a good character. Yeah.
I mean, if honestly, like, and I'm not saying this, but like, if you remove Sallah and brought in Kazim, then it would make more sense why he would be riding with him in the end. And I know they're trying to go with more familiar territory, so that's why they brought back Sallah. It makes more sense to have, like, Kazim join them to try to stop Donovan from getting the Grail.
Would have been better.
Yeah. I'm not just saying that because it's replacing a hat guy with a hat guy.
No. But what about if Sallah was still there and he joined it anyway?
I mean, we could do that too.
Yeah, so
I'm just trying to streamline it because...
Too many people.
Yeah, well, Sallah was cool, and I always like seeing him, but he didn't have that much of an impact on the story overall. Like, it would take out something that is kind of just there, just so that way people could say, hey, it's that guy, and place in something that actually, like, streamlines the story and brings an outer element in.
Okay, well, ponder this. Sallah represents family. If he'd done more in the story, he could have been not the buffer, but the glue to bring Henry and Indy together.
Throw in one campsite chat about family with Sallah, and it makes sense and it works.
All right.
Yeah, that's all you got to do is just have him talk to Henry Jones Sr. once about his family, and then that can lead to the reconciliation. I think you could just add that one simple scene, and Salah's entire existence in this movie would be 100% more justified.
Well, he did take care of Henry when he was shot.
I mean, but you're saying stuff that like anybody could do.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like, I mean, I don't know anything about bandaging wounds, but I could put like I could put a scarf over somebody's bullet hole and shout, "Indy, he's getting weaker." And stuff.
Okay, you got me there.
I don't need a card for that.
Watching them all ride into the sunset together.
Oh yeah, that's a good scene. It is, and like it's kind of fun watching him try to corral in Brody. Too. Like he serves like purposes in the story. Like I'm not saying that he's extraneous and he has no reason to be there. It's just unfortunately what he's given is not something that is crucial to that character.
Yeah.
So
I wish he'd come in earlier.
That too. Yeah.
It would have been fun to watch him in Germany.
That would have been very interesting to see him in Germany.
You know, come to think of it, he doesn't do a lot of action-y stuff.
No, not really.
Okay.
He's always a local guy.
He's the logistics guy.
He's the logistics guy.
Yeah.
He's the one that understands like the local territory.
Yes. Because he came up with the horses, the car. You know, remember he came up with the people that dug and raiders. We talked about the young Indiana Jones scene, which is amazing.
A couple other things about it, like on the circus train.
Yes.
Obviously, we love to see them running down trains. Getting to see him interact, seeing how the different animals interact. Yes. With his fight, like the rhino horn coming up while they're fighting on the roof.
Yes.
Obviously, we talked about the lion taming scene, is how he got the whip, falling into the snakes, gave him his phobia of snakes.
Yeah, because it was funny because he was telling his buddy,
whatever,
it's just a snake.
Yeah. Which must have just been really confusing for people who had never seen this movie before.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't imagine watching this for the first time and being like, what? Have they ruined this character? They forgot who he is. So that scene was definitely just for outrage, I think. That was rage baiting. Rage baiting in 1989.
Yep. So one of my favorite scenes was the first time that Henry calls Indiana. Because he always called him Junior.
There's a lot of emotion when he says that, too.
I know.
Like, and just so you guys set the scene, if you don't remember, when, like we said, Indiana Jones uncharacteristically was like, I need to get the Grail. After telling Elsa not to get the Grail, Henry Jones Sr. convinces him to let it go. Which, profound scene, because that is his life's obsession that's right there. Mm-hmm. So for him to prioritize his son over getting the Grail, that is the emotional catharsis of his journey. And then him acknowledging Indiana Jones fully by calling him Indiana, that's like the emotional catharsis of their journey. So just like that one scene packs such a punch.
The way he said his name.
I know. It's like almost like a whisper. He's like, Indiana.
And he's like, he accepts me. Yeah. Okay, here's my other hand.
This is my Grail.
I love it because I didn't think about him. I mean, he got to hold it.
Yeah.
Henry did.
Yeah.
He got to hold the Grail. He drank from it, obviously. I guess he realized that, well, here it is. Okay, now what do I do with my life?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a son. I almost lost him once.
The real treasure was next to me all this time.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, so it was good.
Sounds really cheesy when you say it like that. But
I know.
And it is essentially that, but it's so well done that you don't even be like, oh, okay.
No, you didn't roll your eyes.
The friends we made along the way.
You know, that's my, aw moment, He called him Indiana.
He did. Just, yeah, the resolution of both of their obsessions at the same time.
I know. Finally got his father's approval.
And you're like, oh, is this going to change him forever? And then he's immediately, sassing him back when they're on the horses. The dog was named Indiana.
I have fond memories of that dog.
And you're like, okay, well, it won't change completely at least.
Well, let's back it up to when he drove the tank over the cliff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Henry was all distraught. Oh my God, I lost it. If only I had 5 minutes.
Another vehicle going over the cliff.
I know.
Spielberg style.
And didn't explode.
It didn't explode, it's true.
Duel.
Just
the looks on their faces, just, oh my God, he's dead, And then he comes up behind him like, what are we looking at?
You guys realize we gotta go.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like him dealing with the loss. Because if you think about like key scenes for their relationship, it's obviously the beginning. Mm-hmm. When they first reunite in Castle Brunwald, when he hits him and they do that whole interaction. The Zeppelin scene, yep, where they're finally having a conversation. This scene where he thinks he lost Indy, yep, and then him accepting Indy fully. Like, those, I think, are the pivotal scenes for their relationship.
They really are.
He's probably never thought about his son not being there. Because Indy's mom died of illness, I believe.
Yeah.
He probably shut down that part of himself that thought about losing people. And he hasn't thought about it again. And then now he's confronted with the idea that his son might be gone. And that's when he finally has that emotional awakening of, I could lose something that's important to me. I need to treasure it. I know he probably was kicking himself because he was not taking actions during this whole tank sequence. He gets captured. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really do a whole lot the whole time. I mean, even the tank driver gets shot by accident. He probably hates that he wasn't able to take as much action on the tank scene. And then that almost led to Indy's death. So now he felt like he was galvanized into action to save Indy this time.
Yeah. It was touching. Thought I lost you, boy. So he lost the Grail and he gained his son. So yeah. I think that was a good, what do you say, 40 years? He spent 40
years hunting for the Grail. Longer than Indy's been alive, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
Because I think it was late 30s.
So, okay, so some of the themes we've kind of already hit on. And I loved how you talked about Indy has the duality. He doesn't quite know who he is. Bow tie. Or fedora.
Well, no, bow tie or tie. So
yeah, okay.
I think that was supposed to be a more literal translation of the two sides of himself.
Okay.
And the way that him and his dad are at odds.
Okay.
Even their ties are different.
That's true.
So I think that's why that tie stuck around for so long in the movie.
Okay.
And why it was uncharacteristically there was because they were trying to show how different they are. The academic that is Henry Jones Sr. and the more working man version of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Just by ties. That's my interpretation, is it just to try to show more of the contrast between the two. Okay, let me add to it. You wear a tie because your father's around. Because remember, usually he's like all bare-chested and, Which he is later on in the adventure when they start getting closer, so maybe, yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, it falls in line with the Sir thing. There's a certain expectation of presentation that you have to follow, and that is to be wearing a tie. It's kind of like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine pilot episode, where Holt says you have to wear a tie. Yeah. And Jake is trying to rebel by wearing a tie, but like no pants, things like that. So very similar to that. So I could definitely see that expectation of presentation. So immortality, what do you feel about that in the movie? Well, I think there is a more theoretical translation of that for this movie and a more literal one. Okay. The literal one is represented by the Nazis and Donovan and Elsa in their pursuit for the Grail. The theoretical one, I think, is represented by Henry Jones Sr.'s search for it. It's never been about him being immortal. It's about being immortalized by completing this quest. And we actually see the downsides of immortality with the Grail Knight. We see how frail he is, how alone he is, how he's separated from the world he is. To go back to the lighting that I've mentioned a couple times, like, he's literally lit differently because he's not from this world. So yeah. I think it's about the pursuit and the drawbacks of pursuing immortality. Okay, so go with me for a second. Say they took the Grail. Okay. And they were able to survive the big earthquake and whatnot. Would they put it in a museum? Would they put it out with the Ark? What would they do with it? Might just be in a cabinet somewhere. But I mean, people would hear of it and it would just become this thing that everybody had to have. It depends, like, does any water work? What is the actual ritual here? Okay. I think they would all make a mutual decision to bury it. Yeah, probably. Even if they took it with them. I think they would bury it in the desert. They'd realize, look what it's already done to all the people that got involved in the quest. We can't reintroduce this into the world. Yeah, what does the Grail Knight say? That humanity can't handle it, or, it's like a warning? Yeah.
And to be fair, when I watched this movie, I thought that's why they never made another Indiana Jones. Because in my mind, they were both immortal.
I'm guessing it must be a continuous drinking thing. Because, yeah, I've always wondered about that, too. I was like, okay, well, because, like, in Crystal Skull, Henry Jones Sr. is dead, but he drank from the Grail, so he should be immortal. Kind of like the Philosopher's Stone. Nicholas Flamel lived, but only because he was able to use the elixir from the Sorcerer's Stone.
Okay.
Once it got destroyed, he had already gotten his affairs in order.
Okay, so it's not a one and done. You think Donovan was going to put it in his little jacket pocket? And
I don't think Donovan knew.
You don't think Donovan
He doesn't
knew?
really know anything about the Grail.
He knows that it provides everlasting life.
Right, he knows the tagline, but like...
He didn't read the book,
but
though?
like, yeah, he relied on other people. He thought he was the one on top, but the only reason why he got there was because of Elsa and Indy. He didn't know anything about it other than the fact that this is something I want, I'm going to get it.
Like the, what is it, Veruca Salt, and, well, Elsa knew enough to choose the wrong one.
Yeah.
Don't think she didn't do that on purpose.
Oh, I know she did it on purpose. I mean, she coveted it for herself, so...
Yeah, I wonder, what then? You've got it, now what?
The reason why we can't answer that question is because there's just nowhere to take it.
No, not where it would be safe. So it's good that it went down. Something that you had brought up, he had the same lighting as he was waving to them as the chasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have the Grail anymore because it went down into that chasm, this is it for him as well.
And you know he's relieved.
Yeah, he's probably so glad. He literally was just like, please, somebody else take this job. I've been coming in late, seeing if they'll fire me, but they just... HR does not respond to me. He's the ugly side of immortality, and it's always the question that we have. Even if you have everlasting life, is that going to be you're in the same state as you were when you first started immortality, or are you going to continue aging? And he's the continuing aging bit. You just know that he's just exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably like, he's probably up like 20 minutes of the day at this point. And that just happened to be the time that Indy walked in.
He was just about to go take a nap. So we were talking about the Brotherhood of the Cruciform. So I read a little bit on the Indie Wiki that I was telling you about. The symbol is actually a cross, obviously. But if you look, the curved lines and then that other line make the Grail. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Grail Knight was a part of that. That symbol was also on the tablet.
Right.
And that was just, that was the Brotherhood that swore to protect the Grail. That was a failure. That was sad. I don't know if over the years they're like, yeah, okay, nobody's ever going to find this stupid thing. Why are we still doing this?
Yeah.
And if all those people died, does that mean there's no more? You know what I mean?
Oh, they have no reason for being at this point.
Yeah, true. They don't know where it is. And I think they were like a spy network, because I remember we said, well, how do they know that Indy's dad is in Austria?
They just chose the most blonde guy they could, and they said, go infiltrate the Nazis and get us some information.
Sounds good. What do you think about the flowers?
They like their flowers in the series.
Okay.
I know we talked in Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
He had the Goldfinger outfit with the red lapel. That guy that got the Cross of Coronado, the Panama Hat Man is I think what his name is. He had the red lapel flower, and then I think Kazim did too, right?
He did.
The only thing I could take away from it is that if you wear a white suit, you're supposed to have a red lapel flower.
Okay, good to know.
That's the vibes I'm getting.
Fashion advance. There is fashion advice.
Fashion advice of the 30s.
So something that I thought about was the lapel flower. Think about who's wearing them. Donovan had one, and then Kazim, we weren't sure who he was.
All the bad guys.
All the bad guys.
Yeah, or...
Guess who gets a flower when they meet on the dock of Venice?
Oh.
Just something that I noticed.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was a little flower. It wasn't all showy like the other ones, but... So the Cross of Coronado, what do you think that might mean?
Well, that was unfinished business, which I think that this movie is unfinished business.
Oh, definitely.
With Henry Jones Sr., Jr., obviously. The Hunt for the Grail, 40 years. So the Cross of Coronado is kind of not only Indy's beginning, but his biggest unfinished business. Yeah, I think that was Indy finishing his unfinished business before moving on to resolving his relationship with his father.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And then, of course, the X marks the spot.
He jokes about how X doesn't always mark the spot.
Yeah, I know.
And then it does.
And it does.
I think it's just kind of a joke about treasure maps, obviously, pirate movies, things like that, where X is always what marks the spot on the treasure maps. Yeah. And so he's saying that's not how real life works. Kind of continuing his thing about how real archaeology is done in the library. It's not done in real life.
In the field.
In the field.
Yeah. I read that the X can also stand for Christ. to point to the spirituality or the religion of, yeah.
So that would make sense, Roman numerals, connection to Christ. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or is teasing Indiana Jones 10? We don't know.
Oh, please no. He's
Actually, sorry, it's Indiana Jones X. He goes into space. That's the space one. Yeah.
Oh, man. He's getting too old for this.
But then he'll become Uber Indie.
Uber Indie.
With the nanobots.
Oh,
so.
Wow. He'll be like Cyborg, like
exactly, yeah.
It's not the years, it's the mileage. Are you a brilliant scholar who accidentally raised the sun through silence? At EDDA, Emotionally Distant Dads Anonymous, we help fathers say brave things like, I was wrong, I care, and yes, I named you after the dog. EDDA, because it's never too late to show up before the credits roll.
All right, now that we've covered stories, themes, characters, and more, we're going to go ahead and move from the screen to behind the scenes with The Shark Is Not Working, where we talk things about casting, script, other fun facts, just anything that happened behind the scenes for the movie.
It was a treasure trove, let me tell you.
All right, so first up, we're going to talk about casting. So we kind of talked about this before, so I'm not going to go over too much, but River Phoenix was suggested for the role of young Indy by Harrison Ford, because they had worked together on Mosquito Coast in 1986. Movie I have not seen, but apparently Harrison Ford says is one of his favorites he's done.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, but I think they played father and son in that. Well, establishing that relationship, I think, in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously must have some sort of personal relationship outside the movie to be a couple years later, yeah, this kid should be young me. Decision that could not have been easy to make.
Oh, right.
So,
who do you choose to be your mini-me? I don't know.
Oh, I appreciate, too, that River Phoenix, you look at him and you're like, maybe it could be Indy. I feel like now they're just looking for people who look like young versions of those actors. That doesn't always translate into acting ability.
The only thing I did not care for was the hair.
Yeah, the hair was a little swoopy.
Yeah, it didn't seem right for the time, and I don't know if that was rebellion. I don't think Henry would have put up with that. But
I don't know if you could have that hair in the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they were a strict organization back then.
Yeah, that baffles me. But as we've said before, Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, they actually had an age difference of 12 years, even though they played father and son. I think I read that Sean Connery is like, he's from a different era. You know, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself. And then, of course, Harrison Ford, he's from more future, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so Sean
different
Connery,
versions of Hollywood, I think, yeah.
Yes, so Sean Connery, you believe that he was his father.
The way he carries himself, yeah.
Yeah, how he quoted Charlemagne. And
so classical is what you're...
Classical, yeah.
That's what you're looking for.
And then so Indy would be just...
modern for that time.
Modern.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it works perfectly. I've seen other duos that I'm like, no.
I mean, and he's got the look because he finally gave up on wearing the toupee that he wore in like Bond and stuff, and so he had the bald head and he had the white hair, so he just felt like it. And like that bumbling and the way he's more academic, that definitely led credence to the idea of this guy's old school.
Yeah, old school. That's a good way to put it.
Speaking of Sean Connery, so Spielberg wanted him as Henry Jones Sr., obviously because he was James Bond.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the whole reason why Indy exists is because Spielberg couldn't direct a James Bond film. We've talked a lot about how Temple of Doom has a lot of Bond references, and this one has a good amount as well. So you can just tell he loves those movies, and he loved Sean Connery as Bond because that was the era he was growing up in. One of the fun things about them bringing on Sean Connery is that he helped with the script a lot. He molded that character of Henry Jones Sr. into what we see on the screen. It sounds like before it was pretty two-dimensional, obvious, like stereotypical distant father, and he was able to mold it into emotionally distant, still has like that charisma and everything. So
definite charisma.
And he famously ad-libbed the line, she talks in her sleep. She talks in her sleep.
Yes.
And I think everybody laughs at that scene every time it comes up.
Yes. And they kept it.
They did,
so that was funny.
That's how good it was. And because I love that. And he didn't ad-lib it, but when she's whispering to Indy about how wonderful it was to be with him, and he's like, oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I know. It was funny. Well, she meant to do that.
She was teasing him. And
of course.
Trying to get a little bit of petty revenge.
Yeah, petty for sure. So I think it's Sir Laurence Olivier.
I think so.
Is a knight.
Yes.
Was considered for the role of the Grail Knight, but sadly he passed away before production.
I don't think I've ever seen anything that he's been in.
I was trying to remember if he was in Lawrence of Arabia. Was that him?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. No, because that was Spielberg's not first movie, but That was one of his favorite movies.
Peter O'Toole.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And David Lean did that one, and we talked about him last time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
My mind connected it because it was Lawrence and Lawrence.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Next is, and I'm gonna butcher this, and I apologize, Vork Malikian, who played Kazim of the Order of the Cruciform Sword, or Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword. He had actually auditioned for Sala in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but he wasn't selected. But Spielberg really liked a lot of his, I think he did a lot of TV work in between, so he casted him in a role for this film.
Well, there you go. That's nice. Spielberg likes to do that.
Yeah, he remembers.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to fit every role,
No.
but there might be something that comes up that's more in your wheelhouse.
He probably has a little notebook.
Because wasn't the guy that did Keys, didn't he audition for Indy?
Maybe.
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did.
So Gregory Peck was considered for the role of Henry Jones Sr. Obviously, Spielberg wanted Sean Connery. I don't think he was that thrilled with the role, Sean Connery, at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he came around to it.
Well, I mean, this movie went through so much rewrites.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. We were like, okay, who really wrote this movie? But it was a collaborative effort. So Alison Doody was Jenny Flex in A View to a Kill.
Yep, bona fide Bond girl.
Yeah.
I don't really remember her in that movie, but I also don't remember that movie a lot.
Julian Glover, which plays Walter Donovan, he's been a lot of our favorite fandoms. So he was Admiral Veers in Star Wars.
Empire Strikes Back, baby.
Yep.
He was the one that was in the AT-AT.
Was he the one?
He was the one that was, he was the commander of the AT-ATs.
Okay. He was also a Bond villain. Help me with the name.
Christados.
Okay. In For Your Eyes Only. Do you remember him in that?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
the main Bond villain in that one.
And he also appeared in the Game of Thrones, one of our favorite series, as Grand Maester Pycelle.
Which I didn't realize.
So, and he was also the voice of Aragog, the giant acromantula.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
In Harry Potter. So that was, that was fun.
That's the oddest one to me.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't sound like him. I mean, I'm sure they auto-tuned it and stuff, but I was very surprised when I found out that information.
Yeah. So one of our favorite actors, Pat Roach, he was the big guy in Raiders that they got
propellered.
Yeah, the propeller by the airplane, that's right. That was fighting with Indy. Then he was one of the temple...
He was a thuggy guard.
Yeah, the thuggy guard. He was supposed to play a Gestapo officer on the Zeppelin, which he did, but it got cut. I was very sad because I enjoyed seeing Pat Roach.
That's a shame. Yeah, he's been in the other two, so
Yeah.
if you already know you're doing the trilogy, you should have had him in the third one.
I know. Why are you going to cut him? So then, as we said, there were many collaborators on the script.
This movie was in development for 5 years. We talked about this in Temple of Doom. George Lucas was still really pushing the haunted house idea. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to do a haunted house in Scotland, and Spielberg just said, no, man, I did that.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of that information, so he wrote a treatment for it, and then they said no. Then they pivoted to a movie called Indiana Jones and the Monkey King, which I think was going to go to finding the remains of Sun Wukong in Africa. Chris Columbus actually penned the script before they scrapped the idea, who did the first two Harry Potters and Home Alone and a lot of big movies. Mm-hmm. And that was going to change the haunted house into being the opening, with the Cross of Coronado. And then that actually pivoted over to Castle Brunhold. That's why Indy plays Scottish in there, which I think is also a tongue-in-cheek thing about the fact that Sean Connery's Scottish.
That's true.
I feel like that was a compromise so that Lucas could finally get the haunted house movie he always wanted. And it's a fun scene, too.
It is.
Menno Mejis wrote a version of the script for Spielberg after working on The Color Purple and doing some uncredited stuff for Empire of the Sun. So he received a story credit because this is the story they inevitably went with. Finally, Jeffrey Boehm wrote the script. He was the credited scriptwriter. And Tom Stoppard, under the pen name of Barry Watson, polished the script to give it better dialogue and remained uncredited.
Yeah, I don't understand why he had a pen name, but more power to him.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Tom Stoppard, so I don't know if it was...
Well, he did Empire of the Sun.
No, I know, but outside of that?
Outside of that, yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, so the script went through a lot of changes throughout the entire 5 years that it took to get this movie made.
I think that was for the better.
Yeah, I think so. So next we'll talk about production. So first thing is the Nazi uniforms are actually genuine that you see in the movie. The production designer was trying to come up with designs for them, and then a cache of uniforms were uncovered somewhere, and so she got the rights to be able to use them. It probably made her life a lot easier than having to recreate them.
Didn't we joke that they put him in a vault somewhere and they got him back out for Captain America?
Yeah, if you look at the the way the motorcycle Nazis are dressed, if you put the little masks on them from Hydra,
yes.
it's just the Captain America, the first Avenger, same motorcycle outfit. So it might be, who knows, maybe that's where they got the inspiration for it. Okay, so the Zeppelin scene that we talked about before, where they have their heart-to-heart, apparently inside that scene it was so hot that they were not wearing pants while they were doing it, because they were trying to stay cool, so people didn't question why they were sweating in the Zeppelin in the movie. Not the wildest thing I've ever heard. I did see a rumor that Spielberg may have even gone pantless.
Okay.
Depending on which version of Spielberg we're talking about, I totally believe.
Oh, yeah. So, the horses that were used in the ending were loaned by King Hussein of Jordan, which is actually where they filmed the temple thing in Petra.
Yes, yeah. Which I heard became like a big tourist spot because of this movie.
Yes.
There's a couple behind the scenes for like the animals of this movie. So the seagull scene that we saw, with Henry Jones Sr. using his umbrella to make the seagulls attack the Nazi plane, striking one for the Allies. They had to use doves for that scene, because the seagulls just wouldn't budge when they tried to do it. I don't know if they just weren't getting the compensation they were deserved, or
yeah, they're holding out.
They
for more.
unionized maybe, so they had to go. They had to go get the scab doves to perform the scene.
I also saw there were some pigeons in there too.
Probably, yeah. I mean, come on, how different are doves and pigeons?
Yeah, you know me and birds. So
I was gonna say, this upset all the bird people.
Yes.
What do you mean? Doves are beautiful. Pigeons are rats.
Speaking of rats.
Yes. Unexpected segue. They also, during the catacomb scene, bred 2,000 disease-free rats for the catacombs. Apparently Harrison Ford had like a pet rat as a kid, so it was behind the scenes of him hanging out with the rats, and
it was so funny.
Apparently, like, they liked the rats. Like, they weren't afraid of them. And I know you're wondering, you're like, okay, well, what happened to these rats? They did not get set fire to. Feel assured.
Yes.
When they did the scene where the petroleum got lit up, they used mechanical rats for that one.
Which they looked good.
Yeah.
I never would have thought they were mechanical.
Definitely. No, this movie's really well done. I was watching this video, and this guy paused during the motorcycle chase scene that we talked about. When he puts the pole into the wheel and it flips?
Yeah.
If you pause it, you see it's a dummy.
Really?
But only if you, I never thought it was a dummy.
No.
And you don't notice it at all.
Wow.
But yeah, if you pause it, it's 100%. They did a really good job of masking the practical effects of this movie.
Yeah.
And lastly about the rats, Ben Burtt, sound designer, icon, who worked a lot with Star Wars and Indiana Jones and a whole ton of other ones. He used the clucking of chickens that he sped up to create the noises of the rats.
So one of my favorite scenes was riding into the sunset, and it was actually real. It was one of the Utah sunsets, and they got it all in one take.
That's beautiful.
Because if you do it in different takes, you have to match the lighting and where everybody is, and yeah.
We've seen the studio. We saw the one take episode.
Yeah.
I know that was John Ford, like a lot of John Ford influence on that ending scene. I didn't realize how much westerns influence this movie. I have no experience with westerns, so that's why I didn't notice the tank and the tank chase scene. That was like a stagecoach chase scene in a John Ford movie. So very interesting. And I know John Ford was a big influence on Spielberg.
They called them spaghetti westerns.
Yes,
and that's what they grew up with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because they filmed them in Italy.
Yep. So the circus train was in Colorado.
Okay.
Not Utah. So they blended that seamlessly.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was a different place. The motorbike scene was added to amp up the action. They didn't think there was enough action in the movie, and so they did it near Skywalker Ranch.
Okay.
So post-production, I guess.
Now we got to talk about your favorite part, which is the musical marvel.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead. Hit us with your Williams.
All right. I love some John Williams. Apparently they played the Imperial March when Walter Donovan's wife entered the room from the dinner party.
And it doesn't totally sound like it. Like it is it, but like the way that they play it differently, so that way it's subtle. So you're not just like, well, how did I not notice that they're just obviously evil?
So yeah. Well, they had cut a scene where Donovan's henchmen took Indy by gunpoint. Yeah. So then it would have spoiled it. You didn't know Donovan was a, air quote, bad guy. I'm glad they cut it. So normally John Williams uses the Raiders March, the do-do-do-do-do-do. He uses that a lot for Indy. He held that back. Instead, him and Spielberg decided to only use it sparingly because it made dramatic sense. You don't need that do-do-do-do when he's coming through the door and gets hit with a vase by his father.
I mean, he was probably hearing that in his head, though.
Of course. So the score, it builds its own identity around new themes. The Grail had its own theme, which was reverent and spiritual. Henry Jones Sr. Also had theme music, which was very similar to the Grail music. So I guess he used different instruments. For the Nazis, he used sinister brass, mystery for the Brotherhood, and then warmth and playfulness for the father and son. So by the time the Raiders March finally swells, it doesn't feel nostalgic, it feels earned. And that was part of an article I read.
I know that when you see that drawing of the Ark of the Covenant in the catacombs,
yeah,
you can hear it too, a little bit, as like a little reference.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That's the Ark of the Covenant. Are you sure? Yep, pretty sure.
I'm familiar.
Okay, now we got some fun little tidbits that we found that didn't really fit anywhere else.
Spielberg stated he really made this movie. I mean, he had a 3-picture deal with George Lucas when they started this out, but he really wanted to make this movie and he wanted to do it right. And the reason why it calls back so much to Raiders is he wanted to make an apology for Temple of Doom because people were not satisfied.
Yeah, and he wasn't either.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing was the Nazi extras, they crossed their fingers when they gave the Nazi salute in Berlin. I thought that was awesome. So to that end, they filmed that scene in L Street studio, so it wasn't actually Berlin. So they filmed it in a big soundstage. And somehow it got crashed by neo-Nazis.
What in the world?
Yeah, and so it kind of got crazy. I don't know how they found out. It was because they had heard about it, and they thought it was a real...
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do you think they crashed it and... I'm not making light of it. I know this is really scary, but do you think they crashed it and they saw Indy getting Hitler's autograph in the Grail diary and they're like, oh, can we get one too?
Maybe. I don't know. That was something that I read and I'm like, wow.
That's wild and awful, and I'm glad everybody was safe.
Yes.
Jokes aside, that's super scary.
Yeah.
So probably the most interesting thing that I learned about this was Spielberg actually gave up directing The Rain Man because he had to keep his promise with George Lucas about completing the Indiana Jones trilogy. They kept putting it off, and so he ended up not directing Rain Man. And Barry Levinson, who was kind of a Spielberg protege, he won awards for Best Picture, Director. Spielberg, in the interview where he talks about it, he joked about how he was like, should I have just given up my friendship with George and just done this movie? But he also felt like at that point in his career, it would have been a detriment to have his name attached to it. That's what he started kind of realizing with Empire of the Sun not winning awards and Color Purple not winning, was maybe having the Spielberg name was taking away from the Academy voters.
Maybe, yeah.
So it might have been different. He might have done Rain Man and he could have been just as good, but because people saw it was a Spielberg flick, they said, we will give them the nom, but we won't give them the award.
Well, didn't you say he was also going to be involved in Big?
A lot of people say that he also turned down Big for this. The timeline that I'm seeing, it looks more like he turned down Big when he was doing Empire of the Sun, but it could be related to this. I don't know. Timelines are weird, especially because this movie took so long to come into fruition. That's why we're still talking about Poltergeist, even though Poltergeist was 7 years before this movie. From what I read, the reason why he turned down Big, which he did turn it down, his sister had written the screenplay, and he didn't want to overshadow her by being the director of the movie. And she ended up winning the Oscar for it, and I believe it's the only movie that she's written ever. But I think that was really noble of him to want her to have her moment in the sun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So
I think that's very noble.
It must have killed him because, wow, Big would have been a movie that he would have loved to make.
Oh, definitely. So I guess George Lucas really liked the beginning scenes of the Young Indy. He actually went on to produce the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles show. I think I watched a couple of episodes. I don't remember.
I think that's where you learn about that diamond from the opening of Temple of Doom, isn't it?
Oh, maybe.
The Eye of the Peacock or whatever?
Yeah, the Eye of the Peacock, yeah.
I know that was 3 seasons. And there's an old man Indiana Jones that is telling the story.
Oh, cool.
I don't know much about it, but that's what I've heard. It does not star River Phoenix. It stars Sean Patrick Flannery. So, as you know, we've become familiar with people who are involved in these movies. Michael Kahn, editor. Douglas Slocum, who did he's did all 3 of the Indy movies. Mm-hmm. He was going blind. He was almost blind.
Yeah.
When he did this movie, and it was actually his final film that he was director of photography for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great that he got to finish a trilogy. I can't imagine that feeling of essentially having a ticking clock of being able to see. And I think it's really fitting that this was his final film that he got to do. And he did great.
He did great. I mean, really.
I love the way that this movie shot, so he did a great job. John
Rhys Davies had sciatica. That's why he wasn't in the movie Who Played Sala. He wasn't in the movie that much. He wasn't supposed to ride a horse. Okay. But he just decided, we need to do this. That
so sounds like him. When he played Gimli in Lord of the Rings, apparently he didn't practice fight choreography. He just said, I'm going to bash this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. All right, let's go. Yeah. And they just did it.
It looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I had read that Spielberg had reunited with his father. that was very close to the story, kind of. We're not going to say it sparked it, but...
I mean, I think it did, because he's the one that brought the idea of the father and son relationship to the movie. And he married that idea of Holy Grail and father and son. Because George Lucas didn't want it at first, but he convinced him.
Yeah.
So I think 100% that's why.
I like when life imitates art, or I'm sorry, art imitates life.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Spielberg puts a lot of himself into these movies, so...
Yeah, he does.
A 11-year estrangement ending, and him finally coming to terms with his father, which we learn more about in The Fabelmans. We see a lot more of that. Like, he was close to his dad, and they get estranged, and everything with his mother, so that had to be on his mind. And he was just now becoming a father as well, so this was a big transitionary time for him. This is when he married Kate Capshaw and divorced Amy Irving was in this 5-year period. He had Max. So just a lot of stuff that went into this movie that Spielberg brought from what was just happening with him. Now is when we go from talking about stories that were on the screen to behind the scenes to the things that make them happen, which are the money and the milestones. So our box office numbers for this movie, I'll go ahead and tell you, unsurprisingly, #1 movie of the year. Not domestically, worldwide it was the most.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like I said, not surprising. Its budget was $48 million, and the box office for it was $474.2 million. So just shy of 10 times what the budget was. So big hit. Spielberg needed this big hit after the last couple, Color Purple, Empire of the Sun, maybe more fulfilling for the heart, but not so fulfilling for the paycheck, or for the wallets of WB. Spielberg wanted to just really do one for Paramount and help them out by giving them this Last Crusade. So yeah, so that is almost 10 times. That puts it just below the ratio for Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom was 11.89, but it had like almost half the budget. So just to put that in perspective. But yeah, it is just below Jaws for highest grossing. So it goes E.T., Jaws, and then Last Crusade. For the awards, it was nominated for 3 awards, and it won 1. It was nominated for Best Sound, Best Original Score, like always, and then it actually won for Best Sound Editing, which was Ben Burtt, right?
Ben Burtt?
Yeah. Finally, after 2 movies that should have won awards didn't, this movie won a sound award.
Yes. Ben Burtt.
Yep, that's exciting. As far as the box office goes, domestically for May of 1989, this movie released. Unsurprisingly, #1 was Last Crusade. Underneath that was Field of Dreams, a movie I feel like probably should have seen. K9, which I think is that.
John Belushi, he finds a German Shepherd.
Oh, I thought this was the one about, like, the mountain. #4 is actually Pet Sematary. Why is that releasing in April? Anyway, other notable ones that at least I know the names of are Major League, Roadhouse, Rain Man was still around from December. Wow.
They used to hold them longer.
Yeah, true. So that is the numbers. So let's go ahead and move on to the reviews. So go ahead and hit us with your reviews, Mother.
Okay, son. I usually stick to the same reviewers. So, Pauline Kael.
At some point, Pauline Kael will stop reviewing, I'm assuming, and then we'll find something new.
I know, but, I like to hear what she has to say.
No, I mean, right now, she's the personal connection.
She said, quote, "This mediocre movie seems destined to be a tidal wave of a hit. Spielberg, who was perhaps the greatest of all pure escapist movie directors, is being acclaimed for turning into a spiritual simp."
Wow.
There's nothing mixed about that.
Yeah, no, she don't like it. She sounds like a critic of a Marvel movie today.
Yeah, right?
I don't know about spiritual simp. I mean,
I don't
that's
know.
just...
Maybe because of all the religious undertones.
I guess there's a lot of faith undertones, but...
Yeah.
I mean, that never, to me, felt like it was... Maybe because it wasn't heavy-handed about the religion aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it never influenced my viewing.
Maybe she was an atheist. Who knows?
I don't know.
I mean, to each their own. Roger Ebert, he said, "There is just a shade of disappointment after seeing this movie. It has to be because we will never again have the shock of this material seeming new. Raiders of the Lost Ark, now more than ever, seems a turning point in the cinema of escapist entertainment, and there was really no way Spielberg could make it new all over again."
I think overall positive. I think he also just understood that this franchise was it was time to put it to bed. That's what I'm feeling from it.
I thought it was a fitting conclusion.
I think so too. And I'm somebody that enjoys Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I understand that I don't think of it as in the same regard as I do these first 3.
Not at all. And then our favorite rotten... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This Pauline Kael review is still bugging me. A lot of his movies have spiritualism in them.
They do.
That was like all of Close Encounters.
Yes. She's like Elsa, I think. Wishy-washy.
Yeah.
I liked her in the beginning because she was like, she challenged him. This just seemed like a straight up dig.
Like, I'm just against him now because he's successful.
I don't know. So our Rotten Tomatoes, 84% on the tomato meter, 94% on the popcorn meter. I do remember reading something about Spielberg felt like this was a step back, a regression, because he's been trying to be more mature. This was fun. I could see why they said escapist, because that's what he was good at. In my opinion, it was a palate cleanser so that he could go on, always. And then Hook was another palate cleanser. I mean,
I remember the nightmares he had after Jaws. He's very influenced by his films. Yeah. So after Jurassic Park and Schindler's List, he took that 4-year break. Yeah. Because he put himself through hell to make those movies back to back. So.
And that's why they're amazing.
Yeah.
He puts so much of himself into it.
It giveth and it taketh.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So for my Letterboxd review, I gave it 4.5 stars, same as Raiders. Like I said, these movies are always head to head to me. For the review, it's that the real Grail is the family we met along the way.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's because I like to upset people when I say the real friends or the real treasure is the friends I made along the way. So I gotta bring that into this.
Your chosen family.
Please go ahead and follow me on Letterboxd. I log every movie that I watch and try to rank the ones that I watch that are from this year. So if you want to follow along on that journey with me, if it's my Letterboxd is Birch94, BURCH.
Not like the tree.
Now we've done that, let's go ahead and talk about our ranking for these movies.
Okay, so this is heartbreaking. After much consideration, E.T. is going to be second. Oh. I'm going to put Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade first.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. It was hard. Yeah. It was a toss-up. E.T.'s nostalgia for me. This one just really hits home. So it's Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, E.T., and Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jaws, The Color Purple, Duel, Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Sugarland Express, Empire of the Sun, and 1941.
Okay. I didn't expect that shift. It'd be more in line with what I'm doing, which is Jaws first, Last Crusade second. Like I said, Raiders and Last Crusade are right there with each other. But I think, at least in these current viewings, it was Last Crusade over Raiders. Yeah. And then E.T., The Color Purple, Duel, Temple of Doom, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Sugarland Express, Empire of the Sun, and 1941. Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, so now that we've done our rankings, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. We do keep an eye on that, and we'll read them aloud on here on the air for you. If you are on YouTube, please make sure to give a like, comment, or subscribe. Like I said, please go out there, tell everybody about this podcast if you can. We love doing it. We would love for more people to listen to it, more people to give us feedback. We are constantly trying to improve ourselves. As you can tell, we're just now leaving. We're at the tail end of the 80s. Yep. And this show is unrecognizable compared to where it was in 1971. We're constantly trying to improve ourselves, and we love to just hear more from you guys. So please spread the word. It's the best way for us to get out there. So next week we'll be talking about Always, Spielberg's other 1989 film and last collaboration with Richard Dreyfuss. Other than it being, I think, about a ghost, I don't know anything about it. So we will see what that movie's about. But until then, I will leave you with my favorite Spielberg quote: "Through amazing stories and unforgettable characters, we are introduced to these incredible worlds we only dare imagine, and in the process, we discover ourselves." This is Tyler, signing off.
And this is Crystal, and don't forget to notice the purple.